Discover the secret path to winning hearts with your business. This isn't just talk, it's the roadmap to your success. Stay tuned. I am Gloria Grace Rand, founder of The Love Method and author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Live, Love, Engage: How to Stop Doubting Yourself and Start Being Yourself. In this podcast, we share practical advice from a spiritual perspective on how to live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically, so you can create a life and business with more impact, influence, and income. Welcome to Live, Love, Engage. Namaste. Craving deeper, more meaningful connections to fuel your success in business? Well, stick around because the key is simpler than you think. I am Gloria Grace, the Light Messenger, and I help female entrepreneurs release negative thought patterns like self-doubt so you can grow business that aligns with your soul's purpose. And part of doing that is something that has to do with the title of this podcast. So, the title of this podcast, for those of you who may not know for some reason, whatever, it's Live, Love, Engage. And also, especially if you are one of my regular subscribers, you always hear me say at the end, I invite you to do 3 things. And we are going to focus today on actually the third thing, which is to engage authentically. And that, I believe, is the key that will fuel your success in business, is to engage authentically. And what do I mean by that? I know a lot of people use that word authentic. They throw it around, but they may not necessarily know what it is. But it's really about being you. It's about being sincere. It's about being honest and forthright. Dare I say, being bold. To be boldly you really is what it's about. And not being afraid to show that. When you start a business, and I'm even thinking about this, especially if let's say you've come from the corporate world and now you're starting your own business. You've been motivated to do that for whatever reason. Sometimes it's because you're out of a job. And so you're like, okay, well, I got to do something now, different now. Or maybe you're on a second career or a third career, even depending if you're a baby boomer like me. It can be challenging at first to really put yourself out there as you're learning and trying to figure out all the different ways there are to promote your business. I mean, just in the 15 years that I've been in business, social media has exploded, and now we've got AI, which I'm going to touch on in a little bit as well. But all of it, no matter what you do, no matter what your business is, how you show up is still what's most important. And you can try to emulate other people, other successful business owners. And at the end of the day, people are going to do business with you. You might think that you can do social media posts like this person, but when someone then signs up for a program, let's say, of yours, or they maybe just sign up to do a discovery call with you, when you get on that Zoom call or a phone call, the old-fashioned way, they're going to be talking to you. And if you are not matching what they've read from you, if there's a disconnect there, then they may not want to do business with you, no matter how persuasive you may be, because you don't match the persona that you already put out there. So the key to this is to be consistently you. unapologetically you. In fact, I think I might have done a podcast episode about that earlier, but I just thought it's important to really drive this point home. Whatever you're doing in your presentations, or your emails or your social media posts, be bold about who you are, what you stand for, what your values are, what your opinions are, and realize also that not everybody is going to resonate with you, and you're going to have to be okay with that. If you have been in business for any length of time, you know that not everybody is going to buy from you. You have to learn to take rejection. And what's coming up in my mind right now is I'm thinking even about actors. They go through tons of auditions to be able to get a part, and they will do that. They will go through hundreds sometimes of different auditions, especially when you're first starting out. So being in business is similar. If you are starting to sell something, if you're not, for whatever reason, this expert salesman, maybe you don't have that expertise when you first start out your business, there's going to be a learning curve for you for a little while. And that's okay. But I just want to stress the importance of being yourself. And here's where I want to talk about AI, the thing that everybody is talking about. I've just been on a couple different presentations from podcasting, a podcasting presentation where they had different people talking about AI and offering you different ways to use Chat GPT, for instance, is one. There's others like Claude AI, a whole host of different tools that are out there. And to be able to use it to help you to be able to craft content like social media posts, for instance, or lead magnets and things like that. And AI has made it really easy for you to just be able to put in a prompt and say, I want, write me an email about XYZ product, and or write me a social media post about this. And it'll give you information, and you can copy and paste it directly into your Facebook profile or your LinkedIn profile or what have you. And if you don't make some changes to it, though, people can see it. I mean, I can definitely spot something that you can tell and that it comes straight from AI. It has to use your language. It's got to have your secret sauce embedded into it. And I will tell you, the presentation I was on today, I mean, this person was really great at giving ChatGPT prompts to say, to describe like what you can describe like what your brand is, what your personality is, what the tone and style of it is, what words and phrases that you commonly use in your posts. And it will give you back something that probably will sound like you a lot. It might really sound like you. And I'm going to challenge you. Still, don't necessarily copy it word for word onto your post. I want you to sit with it for a little bit. Read it over, read it out loud, and see if it really sounds like you. And feel free to then go in and tweak some of the language. You might want to be able to use 80% of it, but add that 20% that is uniquely you. That's what you want to put in there, because that is what then people are going to be able to say, oh yeah, this is Jane. This is what she's talking about. I recognize Jane, or I recognize Mary, whatever. You've got to be able to do that. So let your intuition guide you. And why is this so important? Why do we want to show up authentically as ourselves? Well, I was reading a Forbes article. It's actually a little bit old, but I'm sure the statistic probably still holds up that 90% of customers report that authenticity is an important factor in deciding what brands they like. And millennials and the Gen Z, which is almost 140 million people, now prefer brands that are real and organic as opposed to perfect and well packaged. And here's one little tip I've got for you in helping you to be able to be authentic is to remember your why. Why are you in business in the first place? Why are you called to offer a particular product or service? And remember to think about the client and think about what they need. You always want to do this in any type of marketing. You always want to think about what is it that they want, not necessarily what you want, but what is it that they want? What do they need from you? And then be able to do that, be able to provide that and in your own language. Now, what keeps us sometimes from showing up as our authentic selves? Well, imposter syndrome, fear of judgment, fear that you're not enough, or maybe it's even just inexperience. Maybe you're a new entrepreneur. Maybe you've only been doing this for a short time. And again, you're afraid that people aren't going to resonate with you. Don't let that stop you. I will tell you one of the things that helped me, especially as I decided to make a transition from being strictly an SEO copywriter, helping people with their web content, to offering coaching programs and doing things like energy healing, which I'm going to share with you at the end of this episode today, is I was able to the one of the tools that I use is something called the love method. And I'm pretty sure that I've talked about this on the show before. And I teach this method in my Align to Shine Academy, and it really helps people to overcome that self-doubt, that fear of judgment, because it helped me be able to have the confidence to, well, number one, to be able to do things like create YouTube videos about light language and sharing it on this podcast. I've been doing that for several years now. If you had told me 10 years ago that I'd be doing energy healing like that and sharing it on a podcast, I would have laughed at you like, no way, no way, no how. But because I practiced, there's 4 pillars of the love method, and it teaches you how to let go of the fear, how to value your uniqueness, and so that you are able to show it to the world. So if you are interested in learning more about that, I will just tell you that you can go to engage with Gloria.com, and I'll have that in the show notes. But let's set up a time to talk about it, because it's it's so important for you to be you. It really is. I mean, I feel like this is my mission in life right now and actually this is something that there's a message that has come to me during my meditation the past couple of days. And at first it was to be bold. That was the message that came through on Monday, actually 2 days ago. And then today it was be bold, be love, be you. And that's really what I want you to do. And be bold is about making the choice, deciding that, yeah, I want to let go of this fear. I do want to let go of it, and I want to step out because I've got people out there who need me, who will benefit from what I have to sell, and I owe it to them to be able to offer it to them. And then be love is that is about embracing who you are. Again, as I mentioned, valuing your uniqueness. There's a whole 4 pillars to doing this. And then once you do that, then you can be you. Then you can really show up as your authentic self. And I will tell you one other thing about showing up authentically is to not be afraid to make mistakes. It's so important that you realize that you don't have to be perfect online. It's uh, a friend of my mom's used to say something about what is it, better done than perfect or something like that. But it's true. People will actually respond better to you when they see that you're not 100% perfect, because then they'll be able to relate to you and say, "Oh, she goofs up too, just like I do. Yay." And and here's an example of this. I'm helping out a friend who also does a every Sunday. She produces a show that goes out on Roku TV, on Facebook, and streams onto YouTube. And it's called the Let's Talk Fabulous with Tamara Hunter. And so I am now going to be working behind the scenes and helping them to work on the show. And then eventually I might actually be a guest host once in a while. Well, last week, or no, 2 weeks ago, so this was my first time where I'm gonna be behind the scenes, and Tamara had told me that, just in case something happens, that she wanted me to, be camera ready in case I had to jump on and help. This is a panel show, and so there's other people. So, okay, great, sure, but it's not gonna happen, of course not. So what do we do? As soon as the show starts, Tamara lost her video. Her screen was black, and as she's trying to figure it out, so she pops me up onto the screen, and so now I'm live, and I'm like a deer in the headlights, going, "I'm confused," because it's like, "What am I doing on air? I'm not supposed to be on air. Oh, this was just an emergency, last case scenario, worst case scenario, I should say." Well, I recovered, thankfully, and I was able to get the guests to introduce themselves, and then, Tamara was able to get her everything working, and she was able to come back on, the camera, and I was able to go back behind the scenes and be able to support the program by putting up comments and things like that. So, it was okay. It was funny, we laughed about it afterwards, but that's the thing, is that I could have just totally frozen and not said anything, and that would have been horrible. But you've gotta go on. When you make mistakes, you're just gonna have to find the courage to just say, "Okay, I messed up, I goofed up, what can I learn from this? How can I do better?" And that's okay. So, um one of the things I know that I do on this podcast sometimes is say, That's that's a habit I haven't broken yet. I should have gone to Toastmasters. If you ever want to, I've heard Toastmasters is really good at helping you to break that habit. Thankfully, I hear lovely comments from you folks out there, and I've gotten wonderful reviews, so I guess you don't mind too many of my ums that come out. So I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover today, but I will share one other thing with you today, that one of the tools, as I mentioned earlier, that has also helped me to be myself online, to be myself on this podcast, be to show up. This is who I am. This is what you get. Is energy healing, and specifically light language. And light language is a type of communication that I'm able to. Some people write it, but I actually speak and sing it. So it's a message that speaks to your heart. It's not necessarily something that your brain will be able to understand or translate, because it sounds like a foreign language. But as I said, it's a message for your heart, and it comes from higher realms, it comes from angels, it comes from sometimes I believe it comes from galactic beings, and it's about love. At its core, the message is about love, and it's a very healing modality, and that's what has helped me. The more I either channel it for myself or even channeling it with clients, is it's helping me to connect to my higher self. And that's what my program Aligned to Shine is all about. It is about getting in touch, tuning in to your higher self. Because when you are in alignment, that is when you do have that confidence to just show up as you and to be that wonderful divine soul that you came here to be, and to just not let all of the old conditioning and the things that happened to us over the years that sometimes can really dull our light and keep us hiding in the shadows. But it allows you to then emerge and really step out and say, hey, hey, world, this is me. I love that one song from what was it, Burnham, I think, the movie with Hugh Jackman, and they have that song, "This Is Me." I love that song. Love it, love it. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do right now. I am going to set the intention that I'm going to share a message, light language message with you right now that is going to help you to release whatever old stories are keeping you from being your authentic self, and allow you to be able to have some of that confidence that you need to be able to step out and show up as who you decided you were going to be before you came to this planet. That your soul decided that you are a part of the creator. I've been recently calling it all that is, and that's what it is. It's all that is. It's that presence that created us. So if you are watching this podcast, well, not watching it necessarily while you're driving, if you're listening to this podcast while you're driving, I encourage you to come back and pick this up later, when you can be able to sit down somewhere, put your feet down on the ground and on the floor, and just close your eyes and allow the sounds that come through to touch your soul. And that's all you have to do, is just set the intention that what you receive is going to be for your soul's highest good. And that's the intention I'm setting right now. Kohuya nakuyaku sakuya toya ekayo no anoki kohua anoya no kia esha no ea kohu kayo no ko kakoya no kuhu akayo no koanoe kotoko shonae kanae kano kanyana no ku akoya no kuiha sono ku ako kayo no huhue Honnokoe kahuse, anyanokoe hase, kokayo no kasote. I hope you received that with the love that it was intended. And if you would ever like to book a private session with me, again, you can go to, actually, I offer a free 15-minute light language session when you have a private one, and we can really work on something that is specific to you to ask for support. So if you want, you can go to bit.ly/ capital L, capital T for trial, TRIAL. I'll have that in the show notes as well. And hope you'll take me up on that. I would love to be able to share that with you. So, again, if you, I'd love to hear from you on what you think about engaging with authenticity. If you want to reach out to me on Facebook or LinkedIn, you can find me at Gloria Grace Rand. Just search for me. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And if you liked this episode today, make sure that you are subscribed and share it with a friend, especially on social media. And until next time, I encourage you to go out and live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically.